we have a heavy rum base. Everything will travel to the respective tanks. But here's the thing, we have our bases, but we also have impurities. We also have, could be cogeners from the tanks, some dirt, it could be some other things I got in there some way somehow, it could be some byproducts that we obtain through the fermentation, through the distillation. And we don't want that, and we don't need that. We only want our bases. So what we do is that we filter our bases, which happens at this stage. But Facundo took it a little step forward. He created his own filtration methods, which he named charcoal milling techniques, which is a blend of charcoal and coconut shells. So that's one of the many things that make Facundo the pioneer that he is nowadays. Once we have our blend of charcoal and coconut shell, everything will transfer to our barrels drop by drop, drop by drop, and then we have our separate barrels. But we don't use any type of barrels. We use American white oak barrels. And there's a reason for that. First reason is that American white oak barrels are very strong, our portion of it. Do you remember, we're back in the 1800s, everything was done by hand, by rope, by muscle, and if you're lucky enough, a little bit of back. So if by any chance one of these barrels clash with each other, anything bumps into them, this needs to be a strong enough wood to resist the bumps and bruises along the way. Now the second reason why we use American white oak is because the interior portion of the barrel is very porous, very swishy, which is what we want. The greater the porosity, the greater the ratio of infusions between the bases and the oak. So other barrels might be strong enough on the outside, but not porous enough on the inside. Our barrels are formerly used for whiskey and bourbon. Now what we do is that when we receive them, put them in a boiling water shower for 24 hours to open those pores, release the whiskey, release the bourbon, because we don't want the bourbon, we don't need the bourbon. After that, everything is out, pores are clean and ready to receive our bases. But here's the thing. Okay, so now we have one base over here, the other base over here. Now I need to label my bases. I need to know which one is which. And that's my problem. I have a situation, I got too invested in the explanation, I forgot which one is which. I don't know which one is dark, which one is light, which one is heavy. So together, we will solve this mystery. Now what I did was, before I met you guys in the pavilion, and before we got sold by the glorious wind of Puerto Rico, I poured a little bit of this cask into this bottle, and then the same thing, poured a little bit of this barrel into this bottle. So what we're gonna do together, I'm gonna spray your hands separately, and through the sense of smell, not taste, we will smell the bases, we will not enjoy the bases. Disclaimer, so I'll spray your hands separately, and together we will identify which one is which. Be on the lookout for a strong funky smell of molasses and yeast in one hand, the other one will be strong in alcohol. It might resemble Everclear, Sanitizer, Purell, or jet fuel. It's 94% alcohol. Okay, so let's get ready to rumble. It could be palm of the hands or dorsal portion of the hands. As time passes by, that molasses and that yeast will pretty much increase the strength through the ages. But we do need something to infuse the oak with, which is why we have a light rum base, a neutral rum base. You see, for example, we like to use water glasses. If you pour yourself a glass of water, you try it, what's that going to taste like? Water. Let's say you put some salt into that water. Mix it up, salt water. Do the same with sugar, sweet water. We need a neutral base because here we have the funk, the aromas, the sweetness of molasses and yeast. But since this is neutral, as time passes by, the neutrality will allow the oak to infuse everything it has to offer. So once the years go by, we have aged bases, we have molasses and yeast, and then we have American white oak. Put that together, you have the best elixir in the whole wide world. Now, once that happens, we age our barrels, which right behind you have an 1862 shelf, a replica, what used to be used in the 1800s pretty much. Now, do notice that our barrels are arranged right there horizontally. Nowadays, we use vertical arrangements. Reason for that is because when we put something on the side, sideways, we pretty much can fill it up to levels that we desire. So we need to leave it pretty much up to here, 70% at most. If we organize our barrels vertically, we can pretty much increase the amounts that we can put into our barrels. From 70, we can pretty much put it up to 80 to 85%. Never 100% because since evaporation will happen, we need to leave some gas in spaces, the fumes, gases, and everything to happen. Now, once we age our bases separately, then we do the final step in rum making, which is blending, which happens right here next to us. Now, believe it or not, in our essences, pretty much we're all blenders, and you're going to notice why. My question, do we have any fans of the coffee, any coffee loving fans right here with us? Hallelujah. There we go. We're all lovers of the coffee. Yes. There we go. I see those hands. There we go. So pretty much every single morning, when you pour yourself a cup of coffee, you try it out. Oh, it's too strong. Let me add some creamer, some sugar, some oatmeal, some almond milk, you name it. Some molasses, some honey, some stevia, some agave. So you need to put something, whatever you want, blend it until you apply the desired textures, flavors. Pretty much the same thing happens when we blend our bases. You see, we have our blenders, we grab ourselves a container. Alex, put me 100 gallons of white, light rum base and 100 gallons of heavy rum base. Bring it to a stir, then we try it. Oh, it's too strong in alcohol. So incorporate more molasses, more heavy rum base, more yeast. The opposite. Oh, it's too strong molasses and yeast. Now put some more light rum base, some more alcohol. So that ever-changing formula is what we call blending. Now there's no such thing as a single formula because every single barrel is different. Every single barrel is a live organism that is infusing flavors, aromas, and textures throughout the years. So that's why we don't have a strict formula. It changes pretty much every single day with our massive blenders. Now, in Puerto Rico, we pretty much get up to this point. We have the blends. We transfer our blends to Jacksonville, Florida, to water them down, because up to this point we have somewhere around 90 to 95% alcohol by volume. It's pretty much not enjoyable at that point. We bring it down to 40-45 with water, and then we bottle it. The watering down processes and bottling happens in Jacksonville, Florida. From Florida to the world. Now, my friends, so far, we've gone into the science and details. We do have some more areas to discuss. We have some photo booths. I will give you some names or pictures. Before we do that, do we have any questions so far?
So the main difference between the two is that that's 5 times?
5 times. Still only one, same ingredients. What changes between one base and the other one is the time, how many times we stir. 5 times for the light rum base, or once for the heavy rum base. Here's that today you are our guests of honor, and we are extremely honored to have you here with us. Now, so far we've got through a little bit of history, we've got through a little bit of production, a little bit of the science and craft behind rum making. When we put everything together, and we put it in perspective, we pretty much realize how much of a craft, how much of a work of art rum making is. And when we really think about it, we realize that those American white oak barrels pretty much are like blank canvases, and we have the bases to play with them, like out of the colors, to make masterpieces, which we call expressions. Now, we will start with these two expressions right here. Now, I'm pretty sure that we've all tried white and gold any way, shape, or form possible. Am I right?
Yes.
Here we go. I will only dive into the ages of them. This is 1 to 2 years, a blend of 1 to 2 years, a blend of 2 to 3 years. However, a common assumption that people make is that this one is colorless due to the age. Now, what happens is back in the day, Facundo had some competition. You see, rum is not the only spirit out there. Back in the day, Facundo had to compete with gin and vodka. 2 colorless spirits as well. Now, what happens with rum pretty much when we start pouring rum, it comes out of the barrel a little bit like this, so amber colored. Back in the day, the 1800s, a common assumption people made is that if you have a cocktail which has color, it's not colorless, it's because the ice or the water is dirty. So it was a common assumption. Clean water was a very scarce material to obtain back in the day. So if you make a mojito with a brown colored rum, so it's going to be a brown mojito. So what he did, he added a mix of filtration to the white rum, to make it colorless, to make white rum. When he did that, then he wasn't a legitimate contender with gin and vodka. Gin will overpower anything you throw at it. Vodka will be overshadowed by anything you throw at it. Rum will not do that. Rum will blend perfectly with everything. Stone fruits, fruits themselves, juices, carbonated cocktails, carbonation, it works just with everything. So when he took away the color that left the essence of the oak molasses and yeast, the battle was over. But now, moving on from these two, we have Añejo Cuatro. 4 to 7 years in the making. Have you tried Añejo Cuatro before?
No.
This, my friends, we call the enhancer. It's the enhancer because pretty much every cocktail you can make with white and gold, you can make with Cuatro. Only enhanced. So, mojito, enhanced mojito. Daiquiri, enhanced daiquiri. Cuba Libre, enhanced Cuba Libre. But about those Cuba Libres, I do have another bottle right here with me. You know what's about to happen. If you go to a bar, any corner of this world, you say, bartender, I'm a Cuba Libre, give me a Cuba Libre. You see a Pepsi bottle? That's not a Cuba Libre. You see white rum? That's rum and coke, it's not Cuba Libre. Dame un Cuba Libre, bartender, give me a Cuba Libre. Now you need to see that Coca-Cola bottle by brand, not Pepsi, not CVS, not Walgreens, not Great Value, has to be Coke by brand, and Bacardi Oro, gold rum. That is the legitimate Cuba Libre. Or if you want to have the ultimate Cuba Libre, right this way. So, that's the enhancer. Now, as we approach our secret rum category, before we do so, I do have these two bottles to compare. Now, by any chance, can anyone notice any differences between these two bottles right here?
Darker.
One is darker, perfect.
The label's different.
Different label, perfect.
Smaller.
Smaller, perfect.
Cool.
Now, how about the tops? Oh, there we go. So what's that, right? There we go. So here we have a twist top. Pretty much every time you see a twist top in one of our bottles, it's meant to let you know this is meant to be enjoyed as a mixer. Play with it. Cocktails, carbonation, fruits, stone fruits, flavored ice cubes. Sky's the limit. Now, pretty much every time you see a cork top in one of our bottles, it's meant to let you know this is a secret rum. Things are getting serious. You see, this is meant to be enjoyed neat on the rocks. What I mean by neat is alone. What I mean by alone, no husband, no wife, no neighbor, no baby, no girlfriends, no. Hey, you said. So it's meant to be enjoyed alone. However, I did say rocks. I do have an issue with rocks, however. You see, I don't like conventional rocks. Conventional rocks, water ice cubes. Boo! What happens with that? It dilutes the rum, it dilutes the spirit, it dilutes your cocktail. You don't want that. You gotta try with Bacardi rocks. Bacardi rocks are coconut water ice cubes. Now, coconut water will not dilute your spirit or your cocktail. It will enhance the flavors, the textures. It will impact your spirit. That's what we want you to do. That's what you want you to take back home with you. Coconut water ice cubes, Bacardi rocks. This right here, my friends, is Bacardi Ocho, 8 to 10 years in the making. Now this is pretty much MVP. As you see right here, we have a set of 3 on each side, and we have Ocho right in the middle. What happens with this one, you can make cocktails with it. If you like that ultimate Cuba Libre, you can go make it with Bacardi Ocho. If you like your whiskeys, you got your bourbons, this one pretty much resembles 23-year-old whiskey or bourbon. If you're like me, like cooking, those ribs, those steaks, those patties, this one is the perfect fit for that. Turn on that grill, throw those ribs, drizzle a little bit on top of that meat. That's all you need to do. Gotcha, right? Now, right here we have the older brother of Bacardi Ocho, Bacardi 10, Grande Reserva 10. 10 to 12 years in the making. Now remember, a couple minutes ago we were mentioning, explaining a little bit about that ever-changing formula that master blenders have to capture every single day. Our barrels pretty much stop infusing flavors and aromas of the oak between the 8th and 10th year. Pretty much that's a threshold. So this will be the sweet spot in terms of infusions. After that, the barrel starts to infuse acidity. So since this is after that 10-year threshold, 10 to 12, our master blenders have to dive into the formula and counter the acidity with more aguardiente, more retinado. So we have to change the formula with Bacardi 10. So this one right here pretty much is the masterpiece of how our master blenders have to directly by hand manipulate that ever-changing formula. If you were to pair Bacardi 10 with something, it will be either alone or with a little bit of coffee. Drizzle a little bit on top of that. That's all you need to do. But now we have our Donita. In Puerto Rico, Donita is a term we use for something aged, something vintage, something with experience. Limitada, Spanish for limited. Remember, we did got a little bit wet with the rain, but usually it's not like that in Puerto Rico. We have two seasons. We have the summer, then we have the heat. It's always hot. Our barrels are aged under the tropical Caribbean sun, so the heat is serious. This one is a blend of up to 16 years. Now, what happens? 16 years on this heat, pretty much, by the time we open those barrels, we have little to nothing left due to the evaporation, or little to limited amounts of rum, our bases. So since we have to wait so long to open those barrels, and by the time we wait for so long, we open them and find so little amounts, hence the name, limitada. Now, by the time you try those notes, it's going to be very dry notes, dry fruit notes, prunes, pretty much for somebody's notes. But now right here we have the MVP. We have our baby. We have our masterpiece. You see, so far, every time I mention it around, I say Bacardi White, Bacardi Gold, Bacardi Cuatro, Ocho, 10, limitada. With this one, I will not say Bacardi. I will say Casa Bacardi. Reason for that? This one you can only buy in Casa Bacardi, here, Catania, Puerto Rico, 00949. You can only try it in Casa Bacardi. You can only customize it in Casa Bacardi. But my friends, are you ready to see Casa Bacardi Special Reserve? I need a drum roll, please. We're going. 1, 2, 3. You guys are great. So my friends, this is the Casa Bacardi Special Reserve, the masterpiece. What we do with this one, it's a blend of 10 to 12 years in the making. Now what happens is that those 10 to 12 years of American white oak, we transfer that whole batch to a second barrel. Or also share wine barrels from Spain to do one barrel. We're gonna put the whole batch in one barrel for 1 month. 30 days to be approximate. After those 30 days of infusions and finishes, that rum will be infused with wine notes. So hazelnut will be there, honey, nutmeg. It's pretty much like a smooth brandy. But I won't dive into more detail because since you, my friends, are our guests of honor today, you will be able to try Special Reserve.
Yeah.
No. And the crowd goes wild. Step forward, my friends. Enjoy your Special Reserve. Nothing to fear. Alex is here.